Hey, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Fandom Spotlight Reacts. And we are covering episode 5 of Andor. Episode title name. I know this one. The Axe Forgets. The Axe Forgets. I almost forgot.
There we go.
I'm real
Actually
bad.
remember this time, and I have more.
Look.
The axe forgets, but the tree
Hey,
remembers.
there we
See?
go.
Oh,
There
okay.
we
All right.
go.
If
There
that's
we
not the
go.
next
Look.
episode title, I'm gonna be a little upset now.
That has to be the next episode title. They have no choice. Hey, creative team over at Lucasfilms, just throw it in there. But we are back. It is your favorite three people. We are sending all positive force energies to Yali. She was supposed to be here this week. She couldn't make it, but she said she's going to be back next week. And then the two box crew will be four, and we will all be reunited, and it'll be lovely. I am your host for this evening, Cassian Andor, because I'm going to be on time. I might be even a little early this week because not a lot happened in this episode. So I'm going to try to stretch this out as long as I can. With me today, again, is the human Star Wars encyclopedia, Darth Plagueis the Wise himself, my buddy and good friend, executive producer and sound engineer, master of the Dragon Ball for Life podcast, Mr. Mikey Campbell. What's going on, brother man?
I am hyped to talk about this episode, even though there's not a ton. I'm sure we can pull out a few fun nuggets here. So
We'll
I'm
figure it
just
out.
excited to talk all things Andor.
And then I checked the stats. She is officially the fastest graduating Padawan learner in the history of the Jedi Temple. She went from non Padawan to Jedi Master, all in the course of 60 minutes. Never been done before. Take that, Anakin Skywalker. We have another reoccurring guest, the newest induction into the two box crew, Miss Miso Hai. How are you today, ma'am?
I'm here. I made it.
Oh,
I'm
and
here.
she got on the Sith red. She didn't went from Padawan to Jedi Master to Sith Lord. She ran the gambit.
Welcome to the dark side, Miso.
I was
she
born
ran.
for this.
She ran. I love it. I love it. So, guys, not a lot happened, or a lot happened, but not a lot happened on the same time. And before we had hit record, me and Mike were saying that literally what we all kind of predicted wasn't gonna happen this episode is exactly what happened. We thought that they had did all the prep work and they threw the layup off the glass for the dunk, and that we're just gonna like jump right into the heist, and we weren't really gonna get any like character building, team synergy, training, returns back to other planets where other events had happened, and we got all of that. So we did get some predictions right, and we will cover that. But before we kind of like go through quickly just with the review, and then we'll kind of touch on some things. Me and Mike already got a debate on some on Gabe the Skeleton Man, on what his trajectory for the rest of the season is going to be. So Mike, we'll start with you. In its totality, what did you think about this episode?
It was a bit of a slow burn, but we know this is the middle of an arc, right? So the exposition dump didn't bother me too much. It was great to spend some more time with these characters. A lot of speaking roles in Andor. There's a lot of characters that we're keeping tabs on, and I'm really curious to see who makes it out alive and who kind of like carries on throughout the series, because the Rebel crew, as they're currently constructed, I feel like is ripe to lose a few in this arc's finale. And then we have pieces out in the galaxy elsewhere that are starting to become really interesting. Never in a million years would have thought this is Mon Mothma's story before she like joins the rebellion, and I'm really
Man,
interested on what like the ISB is tracking down, and how I can try and connect that to other things that are going on during the Star Wars universe at this time. So it was still fun to watch.
love it. And then me, so last time we spoke last week's episode, you had kind of did like a cram course and caught up on everything all at the same time. Now that you've had like a chance to digest everything, how did you feel about this week's episode?
I'm still cramming. Excuse me. Excuse my voice. First of all, hey, this is me so high. I didn't even introduce myself. What's going on with that? All the love to Yali and her family and her loved ones. That's all we're gonna say. So yeah, I loved how it started with the blue milk and the cereal, and then it showed like he going back to his mom's, because like the dark side. So it was like the villain is settling in. And I like to see it just start pop off that way. And so I was getting the same vibes from what's her name? Grandy, kind of from Karn and Grandy, like kind of like, well, I'm gonna press through this thing. So the energy definitely transferred over to another character, like the villainous kind of like like everyone's like, no, leave it alone. They're like, no, I'm not leaving this alone. There's obviously something going on. So I like the energy transfer, but I still like to see the backstory of Karn. What's his name? Cyril Carnes. I'm doing my homework.
Look at you guys knowing
She
names
is. We
because I
calling him
don't.
Gabe. She's calling him Cyril. It's like it is what it is. Gabe is stuck for me, but I know you're talking about Miso.
What did I say? What did I say? Anyway, let's say
You did say last week that you was gonna know all the names. You did say that.
he's going back to his mom's house, so that just shows I said the backstory. I like all that end, and then we got a lot of filler with the anticipation into what's gonna happen, of course. So I'm gonna call this one out. I'm gonna say filler episode. It depends on if you like filler or not, but it's giving filler.
So since we have his official name, Cyril, eating cereal, it was real meta how they started that episode off. It just hit me just now because I don't ever retain his name ever. But we could actually just kind of dive right in. So before you had hopped on, me and Mike were having like a very brief conversation because we wanted to save it for this recording on where we think his character arc is gonna go. So me with this episode, the rebel guy, the prison one with the tattoos, the one who was like a prisoner but now he's a rebel, whose brother was the pepper tree farmer. Don't remember his name. If anyone if it comes, if y'all have it, I'll take it. But when he was having the conversation with Andor, when they were kind of like like feeling each other out, getting to know each other, and he was saying, like, oh, everybody has their own rebellion, everybody has their own reason for why they're against it, and we kind of got that motivation for a couple different characters. What was his name?
Dean, right?
Yes, Skeen. Yes, yes, yes. Look at you. Look at you.
Miso's keeping us honest. She's keeping us honest.
She is keeping us honest because I was just gonna adjective everybody for the rest of the episode.
I was gonna keep calling him cousin. So
Yeah. cousin or prison guy. That was gonna be his name. But yeah, so when Skeen was telling, like everybody has their own reason for wanting to like turn against the Empire, I flipped with Cyril's motivation. I think he's actually gonna, whether successful or not, I haven't decided. I think he's gonna be like, oh, y'all publicly embarrassed me. Oh, there's my little one in the background. Them damn Padawans. That's why Anakin was chapping down kids. They just do what they want. I think that he is gonna be like, yo, y'all publicly embarrassed me. Y'all made me move back in with my judgmental ass mother, who pours me the most disrespectful bit of cereal in my bowl ever. That was like one scoop with all milk. That was disgusting. I felt offended for him. I think he's gonna like try to find Andor and be like, yo, the Empire ain't it. The 401k really ain't all that good. They only matching 2%. I heard the Rebels match 8%. Like, what's up? Like, I think he's gonna switch sides. I don't think it'll be successful. Maybe it won't. But I think that them saying that line, like, yo, everybody has their reason, or some people just hit their limit where they just can't do it with the Empire anymore. I think that was that public embarrassment. Because look, man, my man tailored his suit. He had the pockets. He was trying to look fashionable for the Empire. He's trying to make them trendy. And it was just like, yo, you're fired. We're removing your station. You don't even got a place to live no more. Get out of here. I'm not. I remember we had said last time that we thought he was gonna go that typical obsessive detective movie character who gets fired off the case and then somehow solves the case with less resources than when he was on the case. I'm thinking that he's gonna flip flop. I think he's gonna switch sides or try to switch sides. Mike.
This is how fascists are born. That man got one little tiny scoop. He is so tired of everyone disrespecting him, and his small dick energy is going to carry him further deep into the clutches of imperialism. I do not trust that man as far as I can throw his stickly shaped body. He is not going to become a rebel. That man is imperial through and through, and he's looking for the next place of power that he can fill. And his like timidness and everything that is like I can tell like he's embarrassed, and he's going to come back in full force out of pure hatred for his situation and wanting to feel like he's the one in control. And the rebels aren't about control. Like that's not where his motives are going to take him. So we'll see who's right at the end of the day. But Cyril eating cereal is going to be
eating cereal.
It's going to be a stormtrooper before we know it, my friend.
I feel you. Miso, what do you think? Are you still staying with like this is just going to make him drive him further down the path of evil and tyranny, or do you think like the embarrassment? Because it was giving me Zuko vibes. Because like Zuko kept having all these bad things happen to him underneath, the Fire Lord and everything, and it was so bad and so embarrassing that it pushed him to be good. He got traumatized out of being a dick. I think that's what's gonna happen here.
I feel like you're foreshadowing like a beautiful ending after he goes through his fascist stage, like because this he lived for this, like this is everything, and now he has to go back to his mom's house. She's embarrassing him, like, oh, I knew you weren't going to make it, now I have to call Uncle Harold to come and get you because we knew this were going to happen. Like, so there's no way he's not letting it go. But I like the perspective of like, okay, he's gonna come around and have like, his moment, like, oh yeah, maybe I was being bad, but he's definitely got to live out the badness first, like, because he feels like crap. He feels terrible. And so we talk about the small beep energy, the SMD all day. He's carrying it. He's got to carry it. And then it's going to be carried to the end where he's going to have no choice but to like come on the side. But it could happen sooner. He could actually like side with him sooner because like it just works in his favor, like somehow, you never really know. So he's definitely got to be bad though. We want to see that badness come out because it didn't go according to his plan in the first place. And so something has to go according to his plan and it has to be soon. So she's like, what are you going to do? You're not answering me. What are you going to do? And he's like, I know what I'm going to do.
Turn into a good guy. I'll show you.
On the next episode of Andor.
Yeah, and I'm not convinced myself that it'll be like a full redemption arc, and then it was like, oh, Gabe, we knew you could do it. Or even if it's like a double agent thing, I think that's something I can envision a scene of him and Andor having to like be reluctant partners with something. It might not even necessarily be him teaming up with the rebellion. It could like him being like, oh, let me try to get in so I could betray him. But I just see them having like an interaction where it's like they're forced to work together. Like the typical fantasy movie where the two enemies get stranded on a planet and they gotta work together to get off it. Like something, it could be something like that. So it might not even be like I'm a good guy now. It's like reluctant allies for a temporary basis. Because
Star Wars does love to do that. We've
Star Wars does
spoken
love to
before.
do that.
Yeah.
And then it's like kind of what you were saying, Mike, before about giving a lot of people like talking points and everything and getting us to like it's Game of Thrones because we know a lot of these people don't make it. Like we don't see them ever again. And but we did say, they might have just went somewhere else. It is a big galaxy. They might just, live their life elsewhere, but it's unlikely. Well, Mike, you did also touch on something that I want to kind of go over. Back to Mom Mothma. I feel so bad for her.
Yeah.
Like I was under the impression that she was the heart of the rebellion because she really wanted to see the empire fall and like freedom and prosperity reign. I just now think she wants to get rid of her dickhead family. Like I don't I don't think she has any pure-hearted notions of wanting to save the galaxy. She's like, yo, I need to get out this house. She's pulling a Tom Brady. She's like, I need to get out this house. I don't want to be around my wife and my kids right now.
I don't
I'm
think
going
there's an
back to
AB
football.
that's going to pull her away, but we do have like it's weird because like some of the dialogue that she's had so far has been very much like, they're taking food out of people's mouths and she is trying to be philanthropic and these people are like causing other people to starve while we sit here in our like lavish luxury. So I do think that there is like that heart of gold inside her. But yeah, she's kind of being like her family treats her like shit. And so now I'm wondering, like, is this going to end up being a story of her not just walking away from the empire to help the rebellion, but is she also walking away from her family?
Yeah.
Like that's got to be extremely difficult. I don't think we've ever seen something quite like this in Star Wars. And that's why I'm feeling like Andor is kind of hitting all of these different strokes that we're not used to. And it's going to be what end up making this show so great. Because I do think it has a lot of promise there, but that is definitely something that I feel is much more mature of a theme than we're used to in Star Wars. And
Yeah.
I'm excited to see where it goes, but it still sucks to watch her just kind of be ousted by her family in a way.
The damn younglings again. Like, you're stealing my thunder. But no, but I do love that, Mike, because we talked about this before. It's like Mom Mothma is such like a through line through the Star Wars galaxy. Like we've seen her in so many different series, whether it's canon, not canon, animated movies, prequels, sequels, original trilogy. But it's just like she's been around so much. But it's like, how much do we really know about her? Like, she doesn't really have or hasn't really had a lot of screen time. Like I feel like in just this show alone, she's had the equivalent amount of time on screen that she's had in all the like the live action movies. I've seen like the animated series, she was around a lot more. But I just totally lost my train of thought. Oh, found it again. But like you were saying with the mature themes, I do like that it is like, the woman protagonist that like has to sacrifice the family, because usually you always see like, the dad like, oh, I have to go away to war, that sympathy, I leave my family. So it's just like they keep giving her new family members. It's like we had a husband last week, we got a daughter now this week, we're gonna have a son who's off in college next week, like, who
He's gonna
got into
return to the
spice.
household, and then we'll hear the laugh track or the like clap track in the
Oh
background as
yeah.
he walks in the door.
Because he got into spice and dropped out. So now he's back home.
Oh, now sad audience noise. Sad audience
So
noise.
exactly. But the story, that's not gonna be the reveal. He's well home for the holiday. Like, and then she's gonna find it in his bag when she's doing his laundry. What's this? And then you're gonna get the woo track.
Yeah,
Hey,
yeah.
look, we're writing it. We're
It's a
writing the
life
story.
day surprise.
But me, so for you as a female, seeing like someone who has been such a strong character in the Star Wars ethos, I love that word. I say it a lot. Don't know why. It's just a nice word to say. Uh, how like giving her like this strong head of the household role, how does that make you feel inside?
I like it because I think it shows the emotion of what is being done, of like why they're doing it, why they're robbing, why they're, and it shows it from a whole different aspect because she's already inside and she's like, hey, like, does anyone care? Is anyone hearing me? And so her daughter's like, no, we don't care. And then, her husband's like, another day. And so she's just like it almost leaves her no choice. Almost, she's gonna stay with the choice that she's been choosing, or she's gonna really, and she knows it's coming, and that's why she's like kind of nervous, like.
Yeah,
But it's like also the emotional, because like the women being like the emotional aspect, it shows like what's to come, like the anticipation of what's to come, and she's like, something is happening, like, okay, like you guys are just sitting here, like, she knows something's going on, like this is just a normal day, like you just want to argue with me today, and so it just shows that she's going to kind of have to leave it behind because that's not what her mission is, or she's going to have to choose that, which obviously her emotion is too high in that situation to want to choose that, as we can see. Like she's not going to side with that because she's already wanting to know more, and it's already being shut down completely by even the people that she sits with every day. So I think it's really interesting to see. I'm not sure if I want to see more of it, but like definitely see like her role in like the mix of it afterward, I guess. Like I
yeah.
think I've seen enough of that aspect. So um yeah, I think that's pretty much what I think of her. Yeah, I don't want to see too much of it, honestly.
She said, just abandon your family and become a
Yeah,
rebel already.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's just like it's already a lot, as we can see. Like I said, just the whole dialogue at the table is just like, okay, like we're kind of feeling like her. Like, do we have time for this? Are we gonna do this, or is it like there's more important things? There's people starving. There's a whole
Yeah.
operation happening. There's like it's been going on for how long? And you know,
I think I have a
Yeah.
question for both of you, actually. Like, I think it's really interesting to see that, Mom Mothma obviously cares about other people. And I'm not trying to bail out her family members, but do you think she's so involved that like she's the one who's pushing away like her daughter and her husband? Like, obviously her husband is kind of a piece of shit. We have like like view into that, but her daughter is still like at a younger, more impressionable age, and I feel like it's like she was exchanging looks with her dad, like she's trying to push or he's trying to push her away from Mon Mothma as well. And I'm like this family
Yeah.
dynamic's a little crazy at the moment.
Nah, Mike, that's you actually kind of look, the synergy is crazy. You kind of lobbed me up to where I was gonna go with that. It's crazy because it's like you can kind of tell that she is not as involved in her personal life. Like with the daughter saying, like, "Oh, dad always takes me anyway. Like, why are you so pressed to take me to school? Like, you're good. Like, go ahead and do what you're doing." And it sucks because it could be so easy for her to be like, bitch, I'm planning a rebellion. That's why I'm not home. but she like can't say it, and it's just like my heart hurt for her so bad in that scene. One, because as a father, I wanted to pop the lips off that little girl. I was like, who is you talking to? Like, that's your mom. And like the dad's just sitting there sipping his breakfast whiskey. I'm like, sir, it is 8 a.m. Like, what is going on with you? But to like what you were saying, I do think that she is super duper locked in with the rebellion. So it's just like it kind of leaves her to be like an absentee parent, but it's like she can't tell them, especially the daughter. I don't think she would tell the husband anyway. He looked like a snitch. But
Mhm.
but she can't tell the daughter, like, dang, like I want to be here for you, but it's like I'm trying to save the world. And then because we don't ever see that she has kids in Star Wars, so we have to like assume that she leaves her family behind. And I would imagine because she's in Rogue One, right? If my
She
memory
is.
serves me correctly.
Yeah.
And yeah, the husband and the daughter aren't nowhere near there. So I would imagine at some point in this show, she's gonna, like you were saying, me, so have to like pack her bags and do like the look back scene and like get on a ship and fly away with the watery eyes. But then that also kind of leads me to something that I wanted to bring up to you guys. Uh the thing that I'm really, 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 really liking about this show is that even though the Empire is like evil and they're all like douchebags and stuff, it is humanizing them, like with like the workers, like at the lower level, like the people who are just like employees, like the two guys who like really wanted to see the Star Show, and he was just like, "Yo, boss, like, can we go see it, please? Like, being here already sucks. Like, can we go see it?" Because it's like it made me kind of like look at things the other way when talking about cereal or what's Cyril eating cereal because talking about like the axe forgets but the tree remembers that was that the saying. If you think about the other side of it, for Cyril, Andor is the axe. Like he's the bad guy. He's like, yo, I was just doing my job, you literally got me fired and I have to live back with my mom, and I'm the shame of the family, and Uncle Jack Harlow has to get me a job, and nepotism reigns supreme and all that stuff. So it's just like I really like, and I don't even know if it's intentional that the show is doing that, but I like how it is showing that, everything that the rebels are doing to try to save the universe, it is jamming up like the everyday man that works for the Empire. Like the people who are just like doing their job and going through the motions. It's causing them strife and they're not getting it. They're like, damn, like, I'm just doing my job. I'm following orders. The Empire rules the universe. Like I'm staying in line. Like, I'm just a spoke on the wheel, clock into work, do my job, clock out. Why are you making my life so difficult? So I do like that side that it is showing that there's good guys on both, not necessarily good guys, but in their perspective, they're not doing anything wrong over
Yeah,
there
there's
with
more
the
shades of
Empire.
gray than
One,
we're aware
one-
of, right? Like there's not inherently like terrible people that happen to live in the empire. No one had a choice. You know what I mean? Like they didn't choose to
exactly.
join the empire. The emperor declared it an empire. And so, and I would say, at this point in time, Mon Mothma, she's still an imperial senator, even though she's like working for
Yeah,
the rebellion. So, she's a shade of gray herself.
yeah,
Maybe a
and
little more of like red or orange, but still, you know what I mean.
light gray. There's still some white undertones in there. Like, but yeah, but even with her, it's just like to her daughter, all she knows is that her mom isn't around, and like,
Hmm.
and for her story, she's like, "Yo, what's up, mom? Like, dang, like we was cool a year ago. Like, you came to all my soccer games. Why just stop?" Like, and things like that. But I do like that side of it because in like the movies, it's Republic good, Empire bad. Like it's very set in stone. Like who stands where. But it's just like you never really think about the little guy that are
Hmm.
just kind of just getting steamrolled over by both sides. Clone Wars did a good job with that too, like showing like the people who are just following orders, so to say. But on that theme of people who are just kind of trying to do their job and the Republic is making it hard for them, we do get another brief scene with the female detective, Mikey. You know her name. Coming for the name.
The
I
ISB
thought she.
agent that I'm blanking on.
Yeah, the ISB agent works for me. That works for me. But we got another scene of her pretty much being the solo driving force and uncovering what the rebellion is doing. And I do like the part where her coworker or tag team partner in the investigation had said like, nah, it's these robberies are too random to be random. Like I
Mm-hmm.
liked how he like had did that. So I guess I want it from you guys, and Miso, we'll start with you. Um because it's hard to tell where this is going because we know like the rebellion becomes a thing. So it's just like, does she get into it and not succeed? Does she get somebody to listen? Where do you think her character story is going with her like being the only one who's just like, oh, these puzzle pieces are fitting together. There's something happening here that's bigger than what we all think. And me, so we could start with you.
Well, starting with the gray area that was mentioned or like that we mentioned, I think the theme and like just the universe is your own story because um depending on what side you're seeing or side you really resonate with, you can like resonate with sides here and there, but just like you said, like with the daughter, like imagine you're just doing your everyday thing and then you don't really see your mom, and that can make you feel a certain type of way, but at the same time it helped the daughter choose that she's going to be on the father's side, which is on a certain side, which helps the mother choose what side she really wants to be on. And so depending on what side you choose, you know, that can determine whether or not you're the antagonist or the protagonist. And so with the character Grandy, what they're like pursuing and like going after, like, no, like this is happening, and you know, even though they're ridiculing her, and then they have like the feminine role where it's kind of like I can kind of relate to where it's like, well, you're a woman, you know, like, so it's a little less important. You can't just go off your gut, like we need, and and then being in the business force, like, okay, you have to have facts. It can't be just based off of like, but at the same time going off of intuition. It kind of leads into, okay, is she the antagonist or the protagonist? Because then her coworker's like, oh, you know, like saying things that are like, okay, just stay in your place. And at first I was like, okay, yeah, stay in your place, girl. And then it's just like, hold on, she's right. You know, she's onto something. But due to pride in what side that people already choose, he's going to say, well, I'm on this side already. I don't know, whatever else that comes out of your mouth right now, I don't care about it. And so, like I said, it helps her choose her side. Like, okay, they're not listening. No one's listening. Maybe I'm not, you know, whether I'm crazy or not, this is what I'm choosing. And then, like I said, being yourself in the universe, I love like the shifts and like the perspectives because it can almost always change. You know, you have a bad guy, they go through all
Mm.
these bad things, almost blow up the world. And then there's like at the end, you know, okay, I was just hurt. And, you know, you know, like the information, the backstory. And so I think, like I said, the energy transferred from Karn to her, but it's just like a flip where it's kind of like, hers is more valid. So like what's gonna happen, you know?
Yeah. Do you think, Mike, and I'll come to you. You can answer this one, and I'm giving you two questions. Haha. Do you think that because now y'all kind of making me think about Cyril eating cereal? Because her what was her name? Miso knows the name. She's our name minister,
Grandy, I forget if she's a
Grandy.
lieutenant or something. But yeah, Grandy. That's what they
So
call
her story has always kind of felt a bit misplaced to me because it doesn't like really connect to any other characters in the show. Do you think maybe she's the way back in for Cyril? Like maybe they link up and he's just like, yo, they wasn't trying to listen to me either, girl. Like we in this together. You
I
know
think it's
what?
more
I'm
so
changing my theory again. I think they're gonna team up. Switching it again.
I don't think it's more so about like characters teaming up in that aspect. I think it's like a transfer of energy of like the type of character, like I said. So we saw
Yeah.
Karn and and he has like this character that's very similar to Grandy, where it's like, I'm not obeying the orders that they're telling me because I see something, I see a pattern, I know something is going on, even though they're right and they're going against still the empire, which is bad, wrong, which is something you're not supposed to do, which means in one point in time, they'll be able to agree with any misfit because the empire itself said, hey, you weren't supposed to do that. Don't do that. It doesn't matter. And they did it anyway. So that's a repercussion,
Yeah.
and it can be on both sides. But like I said, it's more so I think of an energy transfer, and it can definitely snowball into them working together and being a bigger thing. But remember, at the same time, that character could always be like, "Oh, my mom, I don't want her to die. I'll do whatever, change a part." And then flip it back. Like you just never know. Like I said, especially now, the way that like comics and the like I said, the gray area is really big area nowadays in the theme and just movies and comics and everything. And plot twists are at an all-time high. So, you know,
That's why Gabe's gonna turn to the good side.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. We'll see. I was
But
just
Mike,
saying.
what do you with Grandy's arc? What do you think that's leading to for her?
So I think that she's definitely obviously onto something. Like, her inkling is right. She doesn't quite know it yet, but the Empire at this point in time is definitely trying to put a kibosh on anything resembling a rebellion. That's the same time frame as Rebel season one. Grand Moff Tarkin himself says like the only thing that they lack is the validity of being an organized group. And as long as nobody continues to acknowledge that they're an organized group, there is no rebellion as far as he's concerned. And these are all random events that are too random to be random, as her associate says. And so I think that what she's finding is going to be integral to whoever ends up picking up the torch and carrying it. And maybe we'll see her have a bigger role, like as we develop through towards season two. But I do think that I like the idea of Cyril like getting assigned to her. I do think that he's going to end up in the Empire somehow. It feels like the natural trajectory for him, but if they don't team up and he's just going after Cassian, then we'll see a whole different slew of things play out. But I also feel like a lot of these characters when you have such a big cast like this, you're naturally like leading up to this like inflection point, right? Where everybody's going to kind of be at the same place at the same time, or something that somebody's doing is affecting someone somewhere else. So we're gonna stick with the shades of gray theme, I guess. But it's really funny. I want to touch on something Miso said because it was almost paraphrasing something that George Lucas has said several times: is that every day you wake up, you have the chance to be a hero. It depends on how you choose to act. And I think Brandy's coming from a place where she's doing the right thing for the wrong people. And another George Lucas quote is that villains always think that they're the one that's in the right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's kind of like playing up and towards her antagonist nature in the show, but she's never going to view herself as that. She thinks that she's doing the right thing, the Empire's work, even if other people can't see it at the moment. So I would love to see some more connections here in her story specifically to some characters that we may already know, although I know that that's not something that is probably going to happen. For her, it makes the most sense, and with the connections to what's going on elsewhere in the galaxy right now, I think that she's plucking the petals off of the flower that is the rebellion at the moment, right? So when she gets to the dead flower that's left, she might be left with nothing. But we'll see how that connects to what the Empire's doing.
Gotcha. And then Mike, because I know you was holding this in because you had your takes on it too. A lot of people after this episode, because they name dropped Kessel, name dropped Jakku. A lot of people are just like, oh, she's on the hunt for Han Solo. How do you feel about that?
It's a big no. Han Solo, the events in Solo happened 10 years before A New Hope. This is happening 5 years before A New Hope, so the timeline's completely off. Whether there's still, maybe it's Emphas Nest that they're talking about. Maybe they're still smuggling coaxium off of Kessel, and that's just an incident that's happening there. But it is definitely not. They're not hunting Han Solo. It's just if that were the case, I think there would have been a little more inkling like towards it as if we made our way through A New Hope and stuff like that. Smugglers are always getting boarded by the Empire, but they're not after him specifically. So the idea that it's like behind like the greater rebellion, if you will, it's that specific instance I don't think is the case. But there could be rebels operating off of Kessel, and it was Jakku, and there were a couple other.
I can't. Yeah, they kind of was like rattling through.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I know some of those.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Do we think are we gonna get any other Star Wars cameos? Because like a lot of this is happening like lined up congruently with like the original trilogy. Like Jabba, or not necessarily Han Solo. I mean, he could show up, but yeah, like Han Solo. We got Leia at the end of Rogue One, and my Mothma did mention, I think it was the second episode when she was having the conversation with Stellan Skarsgård's character, who I'm mad because that was one of the names that I knew and I forgot it. So
Luthen.
Luthen, yes, because I remember reminding me Lupin the Third. Yep, that's how I tried to remember it. Yeah, so she had mentioned like, oh, I got someone. Like when they were having a conversation about money and things, and like resources, she was like, I got like a secret agent. He was like, who? She was like, I can't tell you that. And it was just like, a lot of people were saying like, oh, she's talking about Leia, which I'd be cool with that. I can always, I love me some Carrie Fisher. Rest in peace. I would love to see like a
Yeah.
de-aged version of her again for sure, or whoever it is that they choose to use. But on the rebellion, I guess we've been avoiding it because we didn't think that it was coming. But we can jump into what's going on with the namesake of the show. We did a great job not touching on that because that kind of would have been the end of the episode after that. So we going back to with Cassian and his ragtag group of misfits, and they're kind of like getting to know each other and fill each other out, and like kind of going through like what their different motivations are and whatnot, what have you. So I'm gonna circle back to the leader whose name started with a V, if
Val.
I
Yeah.
remember. Val. Yeah, yeah. I'm doubling down that that's Luthen's daughter. Cause when they had that interaction where cousin, what was his name? Skeen, when he found like the kyber crystal on Cassian's neck, and he like had to like fess up to him, like, yo, I was paid to be here. That's why I'm here. Y'all need me. And they was just like, who paid you? And Val was just like, you don't need to worry about all that. Like, I feel like Val isn't as down on her luck financially as she is leading to be. If she's Luthen's daughter, that means she does
Hmm.
come from money. But being as the rebel, I don't necessarily want to call her a plant, but yeah, kinda. And I think like the fact that she got caught in her lie and still just like, nah, I still can't tell you who brought him here. I think that for me reinforced that that is her dad, and she's not trying to like get him jammed up and saying anything, being
Not
like, oh,
to mention how nervous he was. He was
yeah,
Luthen was nervous in the antique shop, and it's
yeah.
like yeah, he brought up the fact that
Oh, when he
Cassian's with
when he
him.
was when he was sitting by the radio. Yeah,
Yeah.
yep. Yeah.
So
I totally forgot about
I
that
think
part.
there's a lot
Yeah.
more validity to what you guys thought last week, now more than ever. So I'm hoping this plotline plays out the way you guys saw it, because I think it would be really interesting. It definitely wasn't something that I was thinking of when we were first introduced to her, but I think it's an interesting through line. And if she dies along the way and Cassian's the one who leaves, and maybe he slides in as Luthen's like right hand the way she was.
Yeah, because in Rogue One we do see him as kind of like a de facto leader. Like it's more kind of Saul's show in Rogue One for a lot of the second half of the movie, but Cassian is kind of like a big deal. But it's just like I just found it interesting. Like I'm one of those people that I look really deeply into when they do like the recaps for the last episode, like the scenes that they choose to show. I was like, oh, why'd you pick that part to
It's
show what
super
happened?
deliberate, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
Disney
So
like telegraphs what's important in the
yes.
recap. Yeah.
So the fact that they picked out that scene where Val and Luthen were having the conversation, and she was like, "Yo, we've been sleeping on rocks and eating roots this whole time. Like you out here hiring people." I feel like that is gonna come into play. It's gonna come up that Val got money, and I think that that might actually cause a rift between her and like her team, because it's like, oh, like you lied to us about this guy. You've had bread while we've been drinking yellow milk this
Mhm.
whole time. Like, why haven't you got us any money or whatnot? And so on that whole theory, because I think that will be the rift. Because we were saying last week that we do think that something's gonna happen where the team's kind of like, oh, I don't trust you, I don't trust you, I don't know if we could do this anymore. I think that that will be the rift. Like, it's gonna come up, that she's not who she's been saying that she was. Are y'all thinking that that might be the thing, or do we still think that there's a traitor in the ranks, like somebody on the team of seven is going to betray the squad? Miso, if you want to go first.
I have a feeling that I think his name is Necken.
I love Necken.
Yes, that's why he's gonna die or something. Because, like, when you like love a character like that, you know, it's just too good to be true. And that was something I kind of picked up, and I was just like, oh, cute personality, like very relatable. Like we like him. He's taking the ease off of everything. And so, like, boom, I just thought in mind, like, if he dies, like, that's gonna be like, oh my God, what's happening? Because everybody loves him. Like, he didn't deserve this. Now, like, what the freak is really going on? Like, or that was just the only thing I really thought of, just because I really like this character a lot.
Yeah,
And then
absolutely.
Cinta is like almost like on the lookout, like kind of like a nervous kind of energy when they're like, well, she's the strongest. And then she's the strongest, but she's like so like this anticipation is building up. So like I said, it's definitely the filler episode, but it's showing, of course, what filler does. Like more backstory. And so I don't think that they're gonna quarrel that much within each other. It's just gonna be their own. Like I said, the theme is their own path. So it's gonna be like something happens. Okay, well, how does this affect their psyche because of what they've been through? And then that is gonna trickle down and jam up someone else. And then that could jam up, whether or not something happens or if it wasn't really supposed to happen because, all of these other like chain of events are happening around.
Absolutely. Mike, what about you? Do you think do you think someone is gonna betray the group? And B, if so, who do you think is the culprit?
I think the beef is squashed for the time being. I think they've like kind of like got it out of the chest. But like Miso said, when someone goes down, it could change the whole dichotomy of the group. So as long as they continue to like be loyal to the mission itself, I think that everyone's gonna kind of like come out of this okay. But I would not be surprised if we have a few of our members here in this early little cell of a rebellion getting plucked off. You know, these hardships are something that the rebellion is no stranger to. You know, they're losing people all the time, people who are like him or Merrick, right? Or and I could see him being the one who, of course, like they make you gravitate towards a character who you can kind of relate to a little bit. He had that great line earlier in the episode about it's so easy for them to hide behind 40 atrocities instead of one. And
Yeah.
like philosophically, he has the heart. He is the heart, right, of the rebellion. Like we see pieces of him in so many different members of the Rebel Alliance as the story continues. So to lose him at the jump could really affect Cassian and a bunch of the other members that are there. So I'm not going to say that's like a hard prediction for me, but I do think that like the potential is there to have some members of the group lose their focus, and
Yeah.
that could really affect whether they make it out alive or not. Obviously, we know Cassian is going to, but
for
everyone,
for a moment.
yeah, everyone else is a big question mark at the moment. You know what I mean? And I do kind of I love the characters that are there, but some you got to lose people somewhere. I just kind of hope that
Yeah.
we, the people who do make it out, I hope we see them form stronger bonds because of what they've been through.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm kind of rolling with exactly what you guys are saying. Like last week, I was sure that we were gonna get like the betrayal story, like someone in the ranks is like, oh, super spy, but and I thought it would have been Skeen, but like him and Andor having that moment with him telling the story about like his brother and the pepper tree, and he was just like, I've always hated the Empire my whole life, and now he's like, I don't even know how I feel. He's like, I just know I just don't want them to be a thing anymore. Essentially, like I was just like, oh yeah, nah, you're not about to have that bro out or bro adjacent moment
Mm-hmm.
and then have him just be that guy. And he just has that look of someone that would be a betrayer. So it's just like you were saying, me, so like plot twister at all time high. Like if he did it, it would just be like, oh yeah, I saw that coming. I knew you were the one. like,
Are you talking about
like,
Skeen, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
I
Yeah, because
think
I would have
Skeen is too honest, honestly.
exactly.
Like he's like, so anything like he's going through, I think is on the table. I think Tamarin, it would be between Tamarin and Skeen. Tamarin was the tall but dark guy. And so, because he went, like, I was thinking about when he first came, is they're like, what is this? What's going on? What is this?
Mm,
And so, if at any point he feels like they're like, okay, this person is crossing me, then it's over.
Yeah, I was like this episode. I was looking. He's too low key for me. Like all the other group kind of like they have like their moment. He's just kind of like there. I could definitely see him being the one if they were to go that route. But Mike, I'm kind of going with you. However his name is. Nick.
I wish I could like.
Yo, we literally
I need to write
said
down. I need to have like a little sheet in front of me. So
Yo, we literally said what his name was before we started
yeah,
recording. That's the part that kills me. The
Miso's got notes. I just
the philosophizer. That's his adjective. But I could definitely see him being the one that does unfortunately not make it. I could even go as far as to say that I think he might die like in the heist. Like something might happen where like he gets like blasted. You know the scene where he gets shot and then they're like driving away thinking they made it and he's like not okay. And they're like,
yeah.
no. And he like dies in Cassian's
Classic like
arms.
Walking Dead moment where it's like, oh, he was bit the whole time.
Exactly. Or Fast Five when Bull died in Vin Diesel's arms. He was like, oh no, my man's like damn, and I know his name too. And I'm blanking on names. Yo, it's only when I'm on here. I forget names.
Who are you referring to?
We were saying Niven, the philosopher guy with the good bars. The guy, the handyman who like made all the
guy with this.
I think it's Nick Campbell.
Yeah, him. So we were saying I wouldn't be surprised. My prediction is that I think he's gonna die during the heist. Like something's gonna happen. I think he's gonna get a shot to the side, and then they think they're gonna be like, okay, oh, we made it, we got the money, and it's like, oh, the way they put the blood on the hand. He's like, hey guys, I'm not okay.
Yeah. You know who? This is like a really weird cut, but I feel like he reminds me of Mouse from The Matrix. I don't know what it is.
Something like that.
Like he's the younger, like more impressionable person in the group, and it's like when he dies, you're just like, oh shit, this is real. Like
you know what's funny? I was trying to think of like the comparison, and that was it. I was like, I know I've seen this type of scene in a movie before, well, Mad movies, but I couldn't like think of who it was. Yeah, that's perfect. Like
the youngest brother and 4 brothers. Like I'm trying to think of
yo, that too. I was gonna say that too, but I was like, I don't want it to go too crazy out there. But yeah, no, that's exactly how I think that's gonna go. Like, and I think it's gonna happen during the heist, and then it's just like that will cause like a rift. So like they're gonna blame. I wouldn't be surprised if like blame Cassian, like, oh, this is your fault, like, and everything. But circling back to because this is his show and whatnot, not forgotten. But do you think that at least in this season, because it's episode 5, I don't feel like doing math. You said there's 12 in total, right? For this season.
So there's 7 left. 1 left in this arc.
Gotcha. Do we circle back to the finding of the sister, or does this lead us into like something else, rebellion? Like if they pull off the heist, now they got the money, now they got the funds. So I would imagine that means they're gonna like kind of up their game and like try to strike faster, harder, stronger with the next one. In this season, do we think that they're gonna revisit I was only doing this to find my sister, or he's just gonna be like get that higher sense of self and it's like, dang, like I'm really able to help other people out. I'm sure my sister's out there somewhere. I'll circle back to it. What do you guys think?
I think that there is a lot of opportunity for the characters on Ferrix to return, like Bix, and I just think that like there's a few of them that I see making a comeback, like B2 Emo. I think it would be dumb not to have him come back in some way, shape, or form. So I think we'll see the return of a few characters that we've seen along the way. I think that if what Tony Gilroy has said is true about the series spanning 5 years and we're only in 2 seasons, I would expect a time jump after this actually. So after this next episode, I wouldn't be surprised if we see this small band of rebels maybe leave closer together, and then we pick up with them somewhere else, and we kind of see Cassian more involved with Luthen, and having gotten a few more missions under his belt, it'll probably just get mentioned, and then we'll go into like the next part of the story, which will allow us to kind of like see like, okay, where has Cyril gone? Cyril gets employed by somebody now. Grandy's done more of her research into like what other incidents have come up, and she's connecting more dots. Maybe she's gotten a promotion after the time skip, right? Like there's a lot of these things that I think that they can explain really quick in dialogue to really push things along. But as you said, her sister, like Cassian's sister, that's a through line that can be picked up later in time. Yeah, maybe that is at the forefront of his mind right now during this heist, but some time might pass and then he might still be thinking about it in the future, or something might happen that forces him to think about it, right? So these things here I think are like can be part of the narrative, and I would be surprised if they don't pop up again, just with how much emphasis there was in that first arc. But
Yeah.
I guess it'll remain to be seen.
Now, I actually love that idea of doing the time skip because it's like I don't necessarily need to see Gabe go on job interviews to try to get back into the Empire. I would kind of like them to just pop back up like 2, 3 years from now. He's like back in, at working a desk job, maybe underneath female detective. I'm gonna remember these names. I'm making it my mission to. I'm coming with a list next week. I'm just gonna have the names myself as well. But I would like to see that. But Misha, where are you at with it? Are we thinking that and I don't think they're gonna abandon the sister. That's just bad writing if they just abandon the sister plot. But it's just like I feel like it's been such a background thing right now. It's feeling like that was just a plot device to get him off world. Like that was his motivation. Like I need money to get off this planet to go find my sister, and that like led him to like with Luke with New Hope. Like he wanted to leave he wanted to run away to join the Empire. Like that was literally what he wanted to do. He wanted to be a pilot for the Empire. He needed a reason to get off to see this larger world. Do you think the sister thread, are we coming back to it this season? Are we gonna like do some other things and then circle back to it next season? What's your feeling?
Well, we definitely need the emotional aspect that drives the passion. So, whatever connection he has to his sister, whether it's good or a plot twist, like, what did you do to our family, then,
The
yeah,
younglings, they strike again.
hey. But no, I think it's circling back to it will definitely happen, but it's going to be more like so much action is going to happen. It's going to be like, oh yeah, sister type of thing. Like we're gonna be
Yeah.
so involved in different areas, have a brain in so many different things. So when the sister thing comes in, it's gonna be like a bonus, like, oh yeah, the sister, and then that's when it's gonna be intriguing. And then just to take it away and some more action again. That's kind of just how I see it going.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if there was like a kind of like a Ned Stark, Jon Snow moment where he's like, "Oh, next time I see you, I promise I'll tell you about your mom." Like if they pull off this heist, I wouldn't be surprised if Luthen was just like, "Yo, do this one more job for me, and like I'll help you find your sister." Cause like remember we were saying before, like he clearly knows a lot about his life for some reason that he's like downplaying. Even when his assistant at the museum, when like you were saying, Mike, when he was sitting by the receiver, like waiting for a call, and it was just like, yo, you're not gonna get the call tonight. Relax, calm down. I don't like when you're nervous. And he was just like, oh, Cassian could jam us up. Like he was like making excuses for reasons to like try to stay on the comms. It's like he's clearly himself also trying to downplay how important Cassian is to him, or like how whatever connection they have to each other. Like he's clearly trying to like downplay that, not only to him but even to Val's character. He's like, oh, it's a mercenary. I just paid him to be here. Like he's expendable. If you don't need him, cut him. And I was like, clearly that ain't like he gave him like that 30,000 credit gem. Like he was like, here, hold on to this. Like I'm good for it. So clearly like there is a through line. So I wouldn't be surprised if there is like that type of conversation. Like, hey, like I know you want to find your sister. I might have some leads. I'll help you, but it's just like the world needs you right now. And like even and it's kind of like crazy. Like you could even draw that parallel to like with Mom Mothma. Like she has her family, and we know that she's gonna have to leave them. Even if there's like a conversation between them two, like him trying to find his family, her leaving her family, and her helping him understand, like, yo, like family's family. That's important. That's paramount. But like your family's part of the world too. And we're trying to like save the world. Like what what's fine? What good does finding your sister do if we're still under tyrannical rule of
Mhm.
the empire. But before we end this out, Mike, you actually did touch on something that I wanted did circle back to about like how the empire was controlling everybody. I did really like the conversation that was had with Nathan. I'm just gonna call him Nathan. His name's Nathan now. that that's the one. But when he was like having the conversation about how the empire was took over, like how they made people reliant on their tools and like their machinery and everything. I loved that because the prequel trilogies, they legit just like put, you know, Palpatine on the stand. He's just like, oh, new galactic empire, and everybody's just like,
Mhm.
yeah, okay. Like it was just like it just kind of happened, and it was just like, oh, they just went from a republic and a democracy to empire, and it just was like accepted. But it's just like now seeing how they like took over, I think is really cool. Even with I think was that Tarkin like DH, or was that a different person that was saying like how they're like healthcare providers and everything? Like, oh, we're not, we're like healthcare providers, and we like
So not
insurance.
Tarkin, but
Now,
definitely like same vibe for sure.
yeah. But even them saying that, like the fact that, you know, the empire offers healthcare to people, like it's like they're making them have to be reliant on them, like, you know, supplying them with, you know, all the tools and like the food and everything. So I really enjoyed that. And I think that's something again that the show's doing good. It's like obviously a movie you got 2 3 hours to, you know, get your point across, but like the what these shows are doing, especially this show particularly, is like showing how the empire was in control for, you know, like 30 plus years, and not just like because we had a Sith Lord at the head of the table, so people just kind of were like, oh, you're right, you're right, I'm wrong, you're big, I'm small. Like you win, you reign supreme. So I really like how they show like those intricacies. So we kind of covered everything, and we kind of talked about our predictions. So I guess we'll switch it up a little bit. We'll give a rating on a scale of 1 to 5. What are we giving this episode, Mike? You can go first.
I'm gonna give it a 3. It was mid. I will not call it filler because I just don't believe that like good shows don't have filler, and this show doesn't have enough time to provide us with filler. I think all these episodes are gonna end up being important in the long run. Um, but it was just, you know, it's bridged the gap between where we were and where we're going. So I'm just gonna leave it at a 3. There were some cool moments of dialogue in there, so that was, you know, fun to watch. But I'm really excited for how this arc is going to end, and I can't wait to see the big meteor shower in the sky that even the characters in the show are
Yeah,
hype up about. So I'm
yeah.
excited to see what that looks like.
They better stick the landing with that because
Oh
they
yeah,
keep talking about this light show. It better just knock my socks off. Like I needed to be very aesthetically pleasing. All right, me. So scale of 1 to 5. What you giving this episode?
I would say like a 3, 2. Well, no, I would say like a 4, because I'm a filler lover. So like how I describe filler is like it's personal development for you to learn the characters, and so I'm a filler lover. I call it filler because it's like we were anticipating the shebang, and so that's
Yeah.
what makes it filler is like the personality comes through like leading up to what we thought we were going to get last episode, right? So I would say like a 4. You know, it's like midway. Cool if you care about that kind of stuff. But it does build character.
In true Dragon Ball for Life fandom, Mike, I unfortunately have to agree with you. I know the fans, oh my god, they picked the same numbers.
we argued at the beginning of the episode. They can deal
We
with
did.
it.
We got it out the way. Yeah, I'm gonna give it a 3 as well because I loved all the intricate details of, you know, like how the rebellion. I'm sorry, how the Empire has been in control. What's been going on with Cyril eating cereal, and like kind of like the how everything's kind of like crashing together. Like it seems like all the different plot points, like what's going on with Cyril and Lieutenant name I forget. Like, and then with the rubber
Grandy,
Grandy, that's the one. It seems like their stories are all leading to like them crashing into each other. So yeah, I'll give it a 3 because I really did like it. But I was surprised that we didn't just jump right into the heist. I felt like all this was kind of covered in the last episode. It just seemed like a more fleshed out version of the end of the last episode. Like they just like extended it, which again we had kind of mentioned briefly that it this show does seem like while filming they figured out that they got another season, and they're like, oh, we don't have to rush this anymore. So it does. I feel like we're kind of probably going to get a couple of these episodes which is kind of like extensions of the previous episode, because I think like the season 2 announcement got announced while they were still shooting season 1. So I imagine that probably is like, oh, we got room to breathe and whatnot. But yeah, so I'm gonna go with the 3 as well. But we did it, guys. We somehow managed to pull a whole hour out of this episode that didn't a lot happen. So I'm proud of us. But we're gonna close out of here. Everybody, let them know where you can find you. Miso, let the people know where they can find you.
Miso Hai, MISO_HAI on most or all platforms. If you can't find it, take the underscore out and I'm there somewhere.
Bow. Mikey Mike, let them know where they can find you, brother.
You can find me right here next week. Please tune in to Dragon Ball for Life. I produce the podcast. We are in the midst of this great series of interviews called Dragon Call, where we bring in creators from all different walks of life, and we have had some incredible interviews so far. So please check us out. We are on Apple, Google, Spotify, pretty much any of the big platforms. You know where to find us. Google us if you need to. But you can also catch Matt there, and I'll hand it off to you to finish this out, buddy.
Yes, my tags are the same as Mike's. You can find me, Mike, and good brother Troto Trav at DB4L_pod. That's DB4L_pod on Instagram and Twitter. And then you will find me back here next week as well as the host animator D. And as it stands right now, there will be the four of us. The two box crew will all be reunited as our quartet, and it's going to be amazing. But I just want a minute over, so I'm gonna close this bad boy out. May the force be with us all, and always remember to follow that fandom. Bow.